army.
That's what you read in 2nd Ezra 13. Go ahead.
And the beast was taken.
And the beast was taken.
And
7 heads and 2 horns. 7 heads and 10 horns. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And with him, the false prophet.
That's the church system. Go ahead.
That wrought miracles before him.
That's their technology. Go ahead.
With which he deceives them that had received the mark of the beast.
That's hey, give me the mark of the beast. Is it John 10:14? Job 10:14. Job, get that for me. Thank y'all. Y'all don't get old. Help me. Come on.
Job chapter 10 and verse 14. If I sin, then thou markest me.
That's the mark right there. Now go back to Revelation.
Hear that? He calls for Job 10:14. And they read it out. It says, if thy sin, thou markest me. Let's play that one more time.
Chapter 10 and verse 14. If I sin, then thou markest me.
That's the mark right there. Now go back to Revelation.
As you can see, he can't expand on it. He can't explain to you. He just says, that's it. Go back to Revelations 19 and 20. The reason why he can't expand on that word in Job 10 and 14, because it doesn't match up with Revelations 13 and 16. This is why he can't expand on that word. He cannot go to Job 10 and 14. Let me just bring it up here. Job 10. Let's go to what he's.
All right, Shalom. Giving all praises, all glory, all honors unto Yahweh Ba'ashem El Shai Ba'ashem Kabadash. Double honors to the apostles, elder bishops of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the 144,000, the rest of the hopeful elect out there. This is your brother, the preacher's hour from GMS Atlanta. Back with an edifying video. And, man, Bishop Nathaniel and IUIC are going to have a hard time pushing that doctrine that they have dealing with the MOTB, Mark of the Beast, over there in Greece. They're going to have a hard time pushing that narrative over there in Greece, man. Which just proves that what they say in their videos, it just makes no sense. When you go outside of the U.S. and outside of the English, see, they can push that narrative, mark and sin, and then use, that precept in Job. I have sinned, and the Lord marked me, and that's a easy thing to do with the English language, because certain words have multiple meanings, and not that they don't in other languages, but certain words can be twisted and manipulated to mean certain things without proper context. That's weak, man. That I see breakdown of the mark of the beast that's weak. And see, that's why they have to now speak on the digital ID being a part of the buying and selling, because their doctrine doesn't hold up. It just doesn't hold up. So let me get to the point here. So I did a Google search, and I just asked a simple question: what Bible do Greek speakers use? They gave me an answer. It says Greek speakers in the context of Orthodox Christianity typically use the Septuagint for the Old Testament and the Patriarchal Edition, a particular version of the Greek New Testament. The Septuagint is the ancient Greek translation of the Old Testament, and the Patriarchal Edition is widely used by Greek Orthodox churches for the New Testament. Some also use translations in the modern Greek, such as the Spiros translation or the HBS translation. And I have to get into those. So the reason why I'm saying all that I said is because when you and it's clear that they just did a word search for Mark and sin in the Bible and made up a precept. They're just winging it. The wingman, Bishop Nathaniel, the IUIC, and the deacons follow behind without questioning, and it just doesn't make sense. And then you have their zombie followers that continue to believe in whatever their leader is saying without doing research on their own. I mean, the scriptures clearly say, study to show yourself approved. Okay? Everything that the apostles and elders here at Great Millstone taught us, I looked up. I went to the scriptures and I saw whether or not what they were saying were true. They obviously don't do that in the IUIC. So they're having the wool pulled over their eyes, and it's going to lead them to destruction. So whatever elect members that are among them, they're going to come out because they're the elect, but it's going to be through these rebuke videos and correction videos that GMS is doing that they're going to come out. They're going to have to see things for themselves. Whether they watch the videos or they hear or they finally wake up to the BS that they're pushing over there. But the elect will come out. I'm just doing my part. Now, it says here that the Greek speakers, they use the Septuagint and the Greek translations for the Old and New Testament. So let's test what Bishop Nathaniel is saying. Now, when you go to Revelation, the 13th chapter, let me pull it up here. Let's go to Revelation 13. Let's go here. Revelation 13. Revelation 13:16. Right? So it says, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. So he said, Bishop Nathaniel said, that the mark is sin. What you think in your mind and your actions, sin, that is what marks you as being a part of the beast and being trapped by the beast. All right, now the precept that he used is the book of Job, chapter 10. So when you go into Job chapter 10 and verse 14, this is the precept he pulled. It says, if I sin, then thou markest me, and thou wilt not acquit me from mine iniquity. So that's what he's saying, all right? The mark, so the mark is sin because of this precept here. What this has not a damn thing to do with the MOTB and Revelation. It just doesn't. Okay? It's a totally different word. Like I said, he did a word search for Mark, and I gotta prove it's sin. And then he sinned, and then this precept came up. All right, and there's another one in Job as well. But dealing with this one here, if I sin, then thou markest me, and thou wilt not acquit me from mine iniquity. So what we have to do now is we have to go into the Greek Bible, and we're going to have to show that it's talking about something else. So hold on, let me go back. When you go to Revelation 13, all right, and Bishop Nathaniel, he knows this. When you go into the Greek language and you pull up the word for Mark there, it's the Greek word charagma, which is G5480. G5480, charagma, which means a stamp, an imprinted mark, right? The mark branded upon horses, idolatrous images, something carved, graven work. It translates the word in the following manner here: mark and graven. So when you mark something and you engrave or stamp something, that's a physical thing. For example, you have to use a chisel to cut into stone, marble, to make a statue. Okay? That's what it means. All right? That's what it means. So when we tell you here at GMS that the MOTB is the micro C-hip, and they're going to use a needle to cut into your skin and insert a biometric implant so you can use it in your hand to buy and sell, that's what it means. That's what it means. So now, like I said, we have to go to the Greek Bible. Now I put up the Greek word. So let's do this. Let's go to Job. Let's go to Job 10 and 14. And let's get that word mark here. Right? Now this is going back into the Hebrew. It says, if I sin, then thou markest me. And the word there is shamar. H8104. Shamar. What does the word shamar mean? To keep guard, to keep, have charge of, to keep guard, to watch, wait for, to watch, observe. Okay? To watch for, that's what it means. Okay? So that means if you sin, then the Lord is doing what? He's watching you. You're being observed. Right? If I sin, then thou markest me, and thou will not acquit me from mine iniquity. That mark there does not equate to something cut in or engraven. So it has nothing to do with sin. All right? That's not what. So that has nothing to do. That has nothing to do with the MOTB. Right? Let's go to another translation. The ESV. If I sin, you watch me and do not acquit me of my iniquity. CSB. If I sin, you would notice and would not acquit me of my iniquity. The NASB 20. If I have sinned, you will take note of me and will not acquit me of my guilt. What does this have to do with putting a mark in someone's right hand or forehead? You're just being watched, according to Job 10 and 14. So see, this is why we here at GMS, we tell you that y'all are zombies, because y'all believe, I'm talking about the IUIC members, y'all believe anything that bitch Nathaniel tells you, and you don't look these things up. There's no, we clearly can see in the world around us that there are people getting not on hand. No. Inside, right? Here you go. It says the implants in the hand are gaining traction, offering various functionalities like what? Contactless payments, identification, and access control. That's all I need to read. And that's going to be tied into digital identification. The contactless payments are what? They're going to be used. That's the application in which you have to buy and sell through contactless payments. Like now you have these debit cards and credit cards where you just tap the card reader and it deducts credit and debit from your account. So this is obviously what John in Revelation saw when it comes down to the MOTB, right? And this image has been going around. I did a video on this. She's using her right hand at a payment terminal to buy and sell, waving it over the reader, the RFID reader at the top. You know. Here you go. And this is what? This is the needle here. This is your Karax system. Bishop Nathaniel is clearly going off. What does this have to do with sin? Okay, no, the MOTB is an actual device. Okay? And people are actually using it. This is real. This isn't fake. Are y'all allowed to use Google over there? Another thing too, you're not allowed to go into the different languages, the Hebrew, the Greek. But you can say shalom. You know what shalom means? Shalom, Israel. This is Bishop Nathaniel. Israel united in Christ. You can say shalom.
90.
Or maybe only the bishop can say Hebrew words. Like he declared, I did the video where he declared that the name of the Lord is Yahweh. When he went overseas, okay, I forget what country, Macedonia, I think, if I'm correct. I could be wrong, but he went over there and he declared the name of the Lord was Yahweh. And he almost slipped up in saying Yahweh Shai. And he had to, because he didn't want that phone call from his handlers. Because he sold out, man. Bishop Nathaniel sold out. It's clear that GMS is 100% correct when it comes to these prophecies, especially the MOTB. And that weak precept in Job 10 and 14 has nothing to do with the MOTB. It just doesn't. So now let's go to Greek, because he can't run that game over there in Greece. So this is GreekBible.com, and I have it pulled up here, Revelation 13 and 16. And now with this translation here, at the top you have the Bible in Greek, which people in Greece speak. If you have Israelites, so-called black men and women, Israelites over there in Greece, this is the Bible that they would use. Okay? And then at the bottom you have a direct translation, similar to Revelation KJV English, but this is more of a translation directly from the Greek. So it says, he causes all, the small and the great, the rich and the poor, and the free and the slave, to be given marks on their right hands or on their foreheads, which same word could be in the Greek. So now, let's see here. I want to get the word. Charagma. Okay, here we go. So now you can actually, tap on the words here. Right, to cause, to make. Now you see the Greek word here, charagma, is highlighted. And what does charagma say? Charagma. An imprinted mark. So it says the same thing that the blue letter says. Okay, so it says the same thing that the blue letter said. This is a definition up here. An imprinted mark. Like a sculpture. So if you're going to make a sculpture, do you sin to make a sculpture? When King Solomon had the lions built going up to his palace, right? When you read in the book of Kings, did the engravers, did they engrave those lions? Matter of fact, let me show you that. Right? Let's go to lions. Right? And it should be in Kings. Here we go. 1 Kings chapter 7 and 36. And this is dealing with Hiram's work in the temple. Right? It says in verse 13, and King Solomon sent and fetched Hiram out of Tyre. So Hiram was commissioned to build the temple. All right. Now, when you go down to verse 36, it says, for on the plates of the ledges thereof and on the borders thereof, he graved cherubims, lions, and palm trees. These weren't idols. He didn't bow down to an idol. They're just images. There's nothing wrong with art and pictures, and that's just human nature to create. It's when you bow down to these pictures and images and statues as idols in the worship of other gods. That's where the sin is. That's where the Heavenly Father that's where he looks down upon you at, when you worship these statues. So it says he graved cherubims, lions, and palm trees according to the proportion of every one and additions round about. Let's see what this word graved is here. Right? Because you got the word grave in the Greek, charagma. So here in the Hebrew, let's see. The word for grave here, H6605, pathak. Okay, pathak. Pathak. Here we go. It says here to open, to free, to loosen, to carve, engrave, to engrave, to be engraved. Right, to carve out of the tree or some stone or rock. And he made palm trees and lions. Okay. So the word for engrave and carve here, which is equivalent to charagma, is pathak, right? One of the Hebrew words. Okay. So that would be a better word that is closer to charagma in the Greek. 1 Kings 7 and 36. Okay. So once again, Bishop Nathaniel, you're going to have a hard time pushing that over there in Greece. Okay. Let me do something now. So now let's go into the Bible and let's see. Now this might be just the New Testament here. Yeah, let's see. So this is the online Greek Bible here. So this is the Greek New Testament. So I'm going to have to keep this. So he can't push. So hold on, let me go back to Revelation 13:16. So Bishop Nathaniel, you can't go over there to Greece and tell them that, and read Revelation 13 and 16 and tell them that the MOTB is sin. When they have Greek Bibles and they know the Greek language, they know that the word there, right, is charagma, because they're reading the Bible out of that book. So like I said, you can do that with the English Bible because certain words have different meanings in different contexts and different places. But when you go into the actual languages, right, there's a different word there in another language. Charagma isn't the same word in context it is in the Hebrew. Karagma means in Revelation 13:16 means to engrave or carve. When you go into Job 10 and 14, the word there, markest, if I sin, then thou markest me. What did that mean? That meant to watch. That's the Hebrew word shamar. So it doesn't have the same meaning or the same force in it. As it says in the the prologue in the Apocrypha. And we translate to another language. That's why Bishop Nathaniel wants to stay in Africa. If he can, maybe he thinks it'll take him 20 to 30 years to go all over Africa to push that Black Christ doctrine over there in those countries. You know, I guess he don't plan on stepping foot in Europe because he can't run that game. IUIC cannot run that game over there that the MOTB is sent over there in these biblical, historical countries. Because that's where the languages, that's where the original started, right? That's where the doctrine started, over there in the Middle East and Asia Minor and Greece, okay? You can't run that game over there. So if he can stay amongst the woolly-haired blacks in Africa, which he says that all those people over there are Israelites except for the people of the Nile, then he can trick, as they say, you can sell a nigga cheap. So they'll believe into his doctrine. But even then, they're not, because they're being ran out of Kenya and they're banned in France. Oh, man, IUIC is just being exposed more and more. But we warned you here at GMS. We've warned you. We've been knew all of this. It's just that now the world is seeing what GMS has been saying all this time. You can't run that game in Greece. So now what I want to do is I want to get the, let's see if I can get the Septuagint Bible. Septuagint, Old Testament. Right, the Septuagint is the ancient Greek translation of the Hebrew Bible, also known as the Old Testament. Here we go. Read the Septuagint Bible with Apocrypha, free online, Bible study tools. So what we want to get is 1 Kings 7 and 36. Okay, I thought I was going to freeze on me. So let's go to 1 Kings chapter 7. Is this right? 1 Kings. Now, sometimes certain words and things are... Okay, hold on. Let me make sure. Book. Kings 1. Yeah, see, there's different books that correspond. Okay, so in the Septuagint, Kings is actually Samuel. 1 Samuel, 2 Samuel. Right, because they do that too with the with Ezra. Let's see if they got 3rd and 4th Ezra in here. Or 3rd and 4th Maccabees. Yeah, right. So they got 3rd and 4th Maccabees. Okay. So they call it by different titles. So what we want, actually in the Septuagint here, is Kings 3, 3rd Kings, chapter 7. Let's see if I can get verse 36 out of here. Okay, so this is it in the English. Actually, I want it in the Greek. It says, in its borders, cherubs and lions and palm trees, each joined in front, within, and round about. So this is what they have for the English here. But I want to get the Greek word. The Greek word. Then I'll close. But I just, I believe I made the point already. It's going to be hard for them to put that doctrine out to the whole world with them jet setting around in these different countries. If they stay in Africa, then it'll be easier for them to pull the wool over their eyes. Okay, what website is this? They have a bilingual New Testament, but I need a bilingual Old Testament. See if I can kind of pull it up like how they do the blue letter. No, it says here, Septuagint. Just see if I can navigate this website. If not, then I'll go. Okay, quick access to Old Testament books. Okay, here we go. 3 Kings. Chapter 7. Okay, here we go. And let's get verse 36. And I'll highlight it when I find it. And then what I'll do is I'll do a translation. So let me find the right verse here. Okay, so here it's actually, so the Septuagint is verse 22. All right, so this is it. 22, right? So this is what we read in the King James. And its borders were cherubs and lions and palm trees upright. Each was joined in front and within and round about. So let's get verse 22 in the Greek here. Let's translate this. Let's translate this into English. Let's translate this into English. Okay, hold on. Okay, so it don't look like that they have Greece here. Let's look it up. Search the web. So they pull it up here in the Greek. But I want to translate it into English. Okay. Greek is not currently supported for translation. Okay. So they have different. Let's see here. So they won't let me translate this here. What is that? Verse 22. But what we can do is I can pull out that word. So let's go to verse 22. So, and its borders were cherubs and lions. Now, okay, now I do see Leo. So I see lions and palm trees upright, each was joined in front. So let's do this. Let's see if I can translate these words here. Let's do it like that. Translate this word. Now, I've done this before. So what you can do is you can take the individual words and translate them. So what they pulled up here, it says ergon. Let's see if that's the word. Okay, ergonos, ergomenos, work, labor, task, work or deed of war, battle. That's not exactly what we're looking for. So we see lions, and so Kai here, this word here is and. All right, so this is the Greek word for and here. Palm trees, comma. So that word was upright. Each was joined. So let's get these words right here at the bottom. Let's search this word out. And this is the word Hekaston. Hekaston. So this looks like it's corresponding to tree. Or okay, you know, each one, Hekastos, each one, every. And that's what you do. Pour these words out. And get the correct definition. I poured this one out already. What is the Greek word for kata? My in accordance with. So when you go into these different languages, you know, you got to be careful. So we would have to translate, I would have to translate that verse into the Greek. I mean, from the Greek back into the English. With each word. It's translated here, but what you don't see here in verse 22, which is in the KJV, what's that, 1 Kings 7 and 36, what you don't see is where it says graven. Okay. But that's okay. That's okay. I don't want to make this too much longer. If I could translate it, I do have it here copied up. And so this is that whole verse. Now let's see. Now what you can do is you might can translate the page. Sometimes you can translate the page. But then sometimes you can't. So that's okay. But you get the point. All right. When you go to Revelation, right, 13 and 16, the Greek word there is charagma, which Bishop Nathaniel knows. Okay, he knows this because he mentioned it in one of his lessons where he corrected one of his readers from charagma to charagma. All right. So that has nothing to do with Job chapter 10. Right? Was it Job chapter 10 and 14? That word marked there is a totally different word. Okay? Totally different word. Oh, but what I can do, so now let's go to the Septuagint and let's see if I can go to Job 10 and 14. So let's go to the book of Job. And that's what I'll do. I couldn't find Kings. Let's go to Job chapter 10. Job chapter 10 and 14. Here we go. And this is what it says. So it says, and if I should sin, thou watchest me, and thou hast not cleared me from iniquity. Okay, so what we would have to do is we would have to find the Greek word charagma. Okay, I'm sorry, 14. The Greek word charagma would have to be in here as well in the Greek for Job 10 and 14. Oh, and I found the word. So the word there for mark that was translated, okay, I knew I found something correct here. So the word here for mark, as you see here on the right, I see there at the top, 14, and if I should sin, thou watchest me, and thou hast not cleared me from iniquity. So here 14 on the far right, you see it here in the Greek, and I highlighted the Greek word there. The Greek word there, and that's the spirit, it led me right to it. The Greek word there is phulasso, which means to guard, to keep, to watch over, to protect, to observe. So that's not the same word that we found in Greek in Revelation. In Revelation 13 and 16, we see the Greek word charagma. Okay? And there's a blue letter Bible here. Let's see. Blue letter Bible. Job 10 and 14. So you only find that word phulasso in two verses. 1 Samuel 26 and 15, Job 10 and 14. And it says, if I have sinned, you will take note of me. That word for note okay, so it's going back to the Greek. Let me see. Oh, no, you know what? They have the Septuagint. So I just learned something new. So they have the Septuagint here. They have the Septuagint here. Philasso in the blue letter. Boom. What does it mean? To guard, keep watch, escape, which is the same word for mark or shamar in the Hebrew. Same thing. And this is from the NASB 20, the NASB Bible. So there you go. So let's do this. Let's go to 1 Kings 7. 1 Kings chapter 7, verse 36. And this is why using these, see, if Bishop Nathaniel, if IUIC, if they use the Blue Letter Bible, then they'll be a lot farther in understanding. Way more than they are, now. With the Hebrew and all that. The names. So this is from the NASB, and he engraved on the plates of it stays and on its borders cherubim, lions, and palm trees, as there was clear space on each with wreaths all around. So the word for engraved there, I want to get the Septuagint. In the Septuagint, Leon, Kai, Hekastos, so this would have to be a different word. Or to say engraved first. So some words in the blue letter are not available. G5404, palm tree. Let's see, histemi. To cause to stand. G4383. Countenance of the hand, the expressions. Right, because they made the idols, the statues. They were engraving those. So certain words aren't brought to translation here in the blue letter. So blue letter got to get updated on their Septuagint translations. But we found it here. Okay. So we found it. Let me get out of this. Let me go back. Right. So philasso. Philasso in the Greek, in 1 Kings 7 and 36, that is the same word there, translated from the Hebrew, from the word shamar. All right, which means to guard, protect, to watch, to keep, to observe, which once again has nothing to do with the MOTB. All right, the charagma. All right, so I'm gonna close it there. A lot of looking up, a little tedious search, but if you followed along with me, then you kind of studied and did it with me, right along with me, so you got a better understanding as well. So when Job 10 and 14 is brought out as a precept, right? Let's go to the blue letter. So when he brings out Job 10 and 14, if I sin, then thou markest me, and thou wilt not acquit me from mine iniquity. Now you know for sure, without a shadow of a doubt, that is not the correct precept for Revelation 13:16. The Hebrew word there for Marcus is shamar. The Greek word there for Marcus is phulasso, which means what? To watch, to keep guard. Both mean the same thing. Okay? And then, of course, when you go to Revelation 13, right, and verse 16, right, which is in the Greek, the word there for mark we know is charagma, which means to engrave or sculpt or carve.